There's a reason this message found you, and it's not chance, it's not timing, it's because a deeper part of you is awake now, the part that knows you were made for more. Not more effort, not more stress, more alignment, more ease, more flow. Let's be real, you were taught to earn, to sacrifice, to trade time for value. But money isn't a reward, it's a mirror. It shows you who you believe you are. It follows your vibration, not your to-do list, not your resume, not your history, but your energy. Because money is energy, neutral, responsive, pure. It's not chasing you, it's waiting for you to become still enough to receive it. What you're stepping into now is not wishful thinking, it's remembrance. A return to truth, to your natural magnetic state, where receiving is not the exception, it's your baseline. This is not a motivational speech, this is a frequency reset, a code you've always carried, and now, it activates. No more trying, no more proving, just opening, just being, just aligning. You didn't come here to survive, you came here to expand, you came here to overflow. So take a breath, drop into your body, and feel it. You're not behind, you're not late, you're exactly where money can find you, because you've stopped chasing, and you've started attracting. This is your shift, this is your signal, this is your wealth. Let it in. You've spent years thinking you had to be more productive, more prepared, more worthy. You tried to do everything right. You read the books, followed the rules, chased the strategies, but deep down, it always felt off. Something inside you knew that success built on fear isn't success at all. That money gained through self-abandonment doesn't satisfy. That proving yourself only pulls you further from your power. And now, finally, you're choosing a different way. A way that doesn't start in your mind, but in your energy. A way that isn't about being good enough, but about being aligned, open and true. Because the truth is, wealth was never supposed to be a reward for exhaustion. It was meant to be the reflection of your inner alignment. When you vibrate peace, you receive with peace. When you radiate worth, money shows up to match it. You are not here to chase. You are not here to convince the world to value you. You are here to recognize that your value has never been up for negotiation. You are the signal. You are the source. And money is simply responding to your frequency. So now every time you listen, every time you breathe into this space, every time you feel the calm drop into your body, you're choosing the new way. You're teaching your system that wealth is safe, that overflow is normal, that receiving is your baseline. You're no longer holding your breath around money. You're no longer living in survival mode. You're relaxing your way into expansion. And this softness, this surrender, it's not weakness, it's your greatest power. You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to remember your wholeness. The version of you who doesn't hustle for worth, who doesn't overthink every choice, who doesn't collapse every time the bank balance dips. That version of you lives with a steady knowing that everything is always moving, always responding, always flowing. And now you live with that same knowing. You walk into rooms differently. You speak with certainty. You expect to be supported, and you are. Not because of luck, but because you are finally in sync with the flow that was always trying to reach you. This is your inner revolution. This is where the old patterns dissolve, not with force but with awareness. You don't have to fight scarcity. You just have to stop feeding it. You don't have to resist fear. You just have to stop identifying with it. The moment you decide that abundance is yours, not someday, not after you do more, not when you're finally perfect, but now as you are, that's when it starts showing up. Not as a wave of luck, but as a reflection of your truth. And this truth, it's already alive in you. You don't need to earn it. You just need to own it. Now gently turn your attention inward, deeper than the mind, deeper than thought, into the still, quiet place beneath all the noise. The place that never rushes, never fears, never doubts. That place is always there. It is the anchor beneath your waves, and from that center, you begin to feel something expanding. Not just awareness, but power, presence, a magnetic calm that doesn't need to convince anyone of anything, because it knows, it remembers, it trusts. This calm is not passive, it is generative. And from it, your field begins to shift. The space around you starts to stretch, soft, wide, receptive. Your entire body becomes a transmission tower. Every breath you take sends a signal. I am ready. I am aligned. I am available for overflow. That signal isn't loud, but it's pure, clean, clear, and clarity always attracts. As this signal moves out from your body, it weaves through time and space, touching timelines, calling in ideas, aligning meetings, nudging resources, not by effort, but by coherence. You are no longer a seeker, you are the source. And in this moment, life responds. Maybe not with fireworks, maybe not with fanfare, but with flow. A text that surprises you, a yes you weren't expecting, a solution that appears without strain. These are not lucky breaks, they are energetic echoes. Your inner world is no longer lagging behind your desires, it's moving in sync, and with each breath, that sync gets stronger. You are no longer standing in the way, you are finally standing in your light. If fear arises, welcome it like an old friend passing through. Let it speak, let it tremble, and then let it dissolve. Because it's not here to stop you, it's here to be witnessed. And witnessing is alchemy. You don't have to be fearless to receive. You only have to stay connected. Stay honest, stay open. Now feel the wealth you've been dreaming of, not as something you chase, but as something already within reach. Not later, not when everything is perfect. Now, in this softness, in this stillness, in this remembering, picture your future self, but this time, not across from you, inside you, living through your hands, your voice, your presence. They are no longer an ideal. They are your current frequency made visible. They are here not because you became someone else, but because you returned to who you always were. And from this place, notice how money becomes neutral again, not loaded with meaning, not tied to shame, just energy, just movement, just an extension of your truth. You no longer need it to validate you. You simply allow it to reflect you. You let it support the version of you that is generous, bold, creative, kind, the version of you who doesn't restrict life, but amplifies it. And the more you allow that version to lead, the less life feels like resistance. The more it feels like rhythm, the more it feels like music. Some days loud, some days soft, but always flowing, always enough, always in tune with you. Take one more breath now, not to ground, not to settle, but to expand, to root into a new reality, one where money and meaning no longer compete, one where wealth is not something you chase, it's something you carry. And every time you return to this space, you remind the world and yourself that abundance isn't just possible, it's already yours. And now that you've remembered, really remembered, you start to move differently. Not to prove, not to chase, but to express. Every step you take carries a new frequency, a quiet certainty, a felt knowing that nothing is missing and nothing is withheld. You are not here to wait your turn. You are not here to beg the universe to notice you. You are the universe noticing itself, and abundance is simply the echo of your recognition. Notice how time feels different now, slower, but more meaningful, richer. Somehow, every moment becomes alive with possibility, not because you force it, but because you're available to it. You don't rush decisions anymore. You don't grab at the next thing out of fear of lack. You choose, you select, you discern, you move from overflow, not urgency. That's the shift, that's the difference, and it keeps getting deeper. Your relationships change, your conversations feel lighter. People start responding to something in you that they can't quite name, but they feel it. They feel your groundedness, your confidence, your magnetism. You're not trying to impress, you're simply aligned. And alignment doesn't need explanation, it speaks its own language. A language that money, opportunity and joy understand perfectly. From this place, generosity becomes effortless. You give not to prove your goodness, not to gain approval, but because there's so much within you that it overflows. You give from fullness, from truth, from a well that keeps refilling itself, and the more you circulate that energy, the more it multiplies. What used to feel scarce now feels endless. What used to feel far away now feels normal. What used to feel locked behind hard work now feels like a natural rhythm, because it is. You've stepped out of the loop. You're no longer repeating the old pattern of earn, exhaust, repeat. You're playing by different laws now. Laws of frequency, laws of flow, laws that honor the version of you that's always existed beneath the fear, the intuitive, radiant, untouchable self that never forgot how energy works. And in this version, receiving is sacred, not because you need it to prove anything, but because you know you're meant to hold it, to steward it, to share it, to embody it fully and unapologetically. You're no longer afraid of being seen. You're no longer afraid of shining too brightly, because now you realize your light doesn't dim others, it reminds them of their own. So breathe here, let that awareness settle in your bones. You are no longer preparing. You are no longer becoming. You are being, fully, clearly, powerfully. And as you walk forward from this moment, everything you touch responds, not because you demanded it, but because you remembered your frequency. And that frequency is abundance. Now let your clarity become a lighthouse, steady, strong, non-negotiable. When your energy is anchored in clarity, the universe doesn't hesitate, it delivers. Not because you're louder, or better, or luckier, but because you're stable, unshakable, clear. You're not sending mixed messages. You're not praying with one hand and doubting with the other. You're speaking one fluent language, certainty. And certainty is irresistible to abundance. This is when things begin to move faster. This is when people suddenly reach out. When payments land unexpectedly. When new ideas come through, not from pressure, but from flow. And it's not because life changed. It's because you did. Your signal got clean. Your field got coherent. You stopped being a question mark and became a full body yes. But clarity isn't just about setting goals. It's about becoming the embodiment of what you say you desire. If you say, I want to receive, but keep living in doubt and contraction, the universe listens to your energy, not your words. Energy never lies. So ask yourself, am I walking through life as someone who trusts, or as someone still waiting to be proven safe? This isn't about toxic positivity. It's not about pretending to feel good when you don't. It's about learning to shift gently, honestly, into alignment. About regulating your nervous system to receive more than survival. It's about choosing, moment by moment, to trust that the reality you crave already exists, and your job is simply to match its vibration, not someday, but now. So how do you keep matching it? You nourish the frequency, you feed it daily, you wake up, and you choose to believe. Even when your eyes don't yet see the proof. You treat your vision like a seed. You water it, you speak to it, you protect it. You don't dig it up just because it hasn't bloomed yet. You become the version of you who expects overflow, not from entitlement, but from embodiment. And that embodiment lives in the small moments. In the calm breath before a big decision. In the way you speak about money when no one is listening. In the way you tip generously even when you're still on the way. In the way you treat every dollar as sacred, not because you're obsessed, but because you're intentional. That's what attracts more. That's what builds momentum. Not hustle, not force, but energetic alignment, repeated and refined. So ask yourself again, what is my energy broadcasting today? What am I truly available for? Am I leading with fear or with vision? If the answer is vision, then the next step is simple. Walk in it, speak from it. Create from it. Move as if it's already done, because in the energetic realm, it is already done. You're not becoming magnetic, you already are. You're just clearing away the noise so your signal gets through. And once that signal is clean, the world has no choice but to respond. And finally, remember this isn't a one-time shift. It's a lifestyle, a devotion, a choice you make not just when it's easy, but especially when it's not. Because alignment is not about perfection, it's about returning, again and again, to truth, to calm, to knowing, to the felt experience that you are supported, even when the evidence isn't loud yet. That's the real work, that's the real power. You don't need to control timing, You don't need to manage every detail. That's old programming. That's survival energy disguised as strategy. But you're not surviving anymore. You're leading from your center, from your wholeness, from the deep inner wealth that no economy, no government, no circumstance can take from you. You're not playing the game the old way anymore. You've upgraded. You've remembered that you're not here to win approval or follow rules written by people disconnected from their own hearts. You're here to live freely, to expand fully, and to receive openly. That is your new standard. That is your new vibration, and it is non-negotiable. So what happens next? You continue to show up, with intention, with softness, with conviction. You speak as the version of you who already knows. You walk into rooms like you belong there, because you do. You make decisions based on trust, not fear. You say no to what drains you, and yes to what lights you up. You become unavailable for hustle and deeply available for flow. And as you do that, something beautiful begins to unfold. People begin to reflect your new signal. Resources begin to align before you even ask. Ideas arrive fully formed. The things you once begged for begin to appear without struggle. Why? Because now, you're not trying to get them. You're simply meeting them where they've always existed, in the energy of enoughness. You no longer live in the illusion of lack. You no longer define yourself by your output. You don't shrink to be accepted, and you don't chase to be chosen. You allow, you align, you attract. This is what it means to vibrate with wealth energy, not just to want money, but to become the version of you who holds it with grace, who receives it without fear, who uses it with reverence. Because you know it's not just about you, it's about what flows through you, what you get to build, who you get to bless, how deeply you get to live when you are no longer bound by survival. So keep choosing this path, keep tuning your field, keep saying yes to overflow, not just in your bank account, but in your spirit, your relationships, your voice, your time. Because true wealth touches everything, and it all starts here, with one breath, one thought, one intention, repeated, refined, returned to until it's no longer what you practice, it's who you are. And now that it's who you are, everything begins to reorganize around you. The world starts reflecting your internal shift, piece by piece. The people you meet feel different. Conversations feel lighter. Choices feel clearer. You're no longer asking, can I afford this? You're asking, is this aligned with my frequency? You're no longer moving from fear of not having. You're moving from the power of already being, already having, already radiating. And the more you embody this truth, the less you feel urgency. Not because you don't care, but because you've realized urgency is a symptom of disconnection. And you are deeply connected now, to yourself, to your vision, to the quiet intelligence within life that never rushes, never forces, never fears. You're learning that alignment doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like ease, sometimes it looks like stillness, but beneath it, there's momentum, quiet, steady, unstoppable. You begin to notice how abundance speaks, not just through deposits or offers, but through intuition, through synchronicity, through how your body feels in a room, how your heart responds to a message, how your spirit leans towards something before your mind can explain why. You are no longer negotiating with your intuition, you are following it, because you trust it, because it has always known the way. This is when you realize wealth isn't just money, it's space, it's time, it's sovereignty, it's waking up without anxiety in your chest, it's knowing that you get to design your day, your energy, your life. It's being generous without depletion, it's saying no without guilt, it's saying yes without fear. You're now living in a reality where wealth is a mirror of who you are, not a prize to chase, not a number to prove something, but a natural consequence of your clarity. You don't earn this with perfection, you hold it with presence. And the more you hold that presence, the more life matches you in return. No more forcing, no more faking, no more performing, just truth, just energy, just resonance. And from that resonance comes everything. So when the old thoughts come back, and they will, don't panic. Don't make them mean something is broken. They are just echoes, ghosts of a frequency you no longer live in. Smile at them, thank them, and let them fade. You don't need to fight them. You just need to stay here, in this moment, in this knowing, because this is your new home frequency. And home doesn't mean still, it means safe. It means powerful. It means yours. Take a breath and feel the spaciousness of that truth. Settle into your cells. Feel how far you've come, not just externally, but internally. You've stopped chasing and started claiming. You've stopped collapsing and started expanding. You've stopped hoping and started remembering. And from this place, wealth has no choice. It comes, it builds, it stays. Not because you tried harder, but because you finally allowed it. And as you claim it, notice the shift. Not in the outer world just yet, but inside. A subtle drop, a softening in your chest, a warm clarity in your solar plexus, a knowing that doesn't shout, but sits quietly with power. This is how wealth roots itself, not through rush, but through resonance. And from this resonance, you begin to live differently. You begin to decide differently. You no longer wait for the bank balance to give you permission. You let your energy lead, because your energy is the true account. And right now it's full. So let's take this further. Let's stretch the frequency a little wider. Ask yourself, how would I move if I knew I was already provided for? How would I speak if I trusted the flow is constant? How would I choose if I was no longer afraid of running out? Let the answers rise gently, not from logic, but from alignment, from your future self, who is already living the life you once thought was far away. That version of you isn't separate. They're not luckier, they're just tuned in, and tuning in is a choice, one you've just made. So now it's time to maintain, to integrate, to continue walking in this new frequency, even when the old world knocks, even when doubt whispers, even when reality tests you. Because that's all it is, a test, not a punishment, not a sign it isn't working, but an invitation. Will you still believe before the evidence? Will you still choose abundance even in the absence of proof? And when you say yes fully, clearly, calmly, the proof rushes in. So stay in your practice. Celebrate the pennies like the paychecks. Speak wealth like your first language. Treat your vibration like your most sacred asset. Because it is. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional, holding the vision, loving the process, and letting your energy do what it was designed to do. Attract, magnetize, receive. And when it comes, because it will come, receive it with grace, with presence, with the ease of someone who is no longer surprised by miracles but expects them. Because you're not the seeker anymore, you're the source.